Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel with Refresh With Rue, and if you would like to see how to paint this, just keep watching. The reference photo was actually taken from the top of Mount Marcy, which is the highest peak in New York State, and some people that I know went for a sunrise hike and got this beautiful shot. So I tried to do it justice by painting it, and if you'd like to see how to do that, then just keep watching. But it's fairly simple, so if you're a beginner painter, or if you just want to, if you're a more advanced painter and you just want to like relax your mind and paint along with me, feel free to join me and grab some paints, your paintbrushes, and let's go. Starting with some art supplies, I have my water bucket all full of fresh water here. I have my little bucket of paintbrushes, and most of them are actually from Amazon, and they're pretty inexpensive because I don't take too good care of my brushes, so if I can not destroy nice brushes, then that's great. I can just reorder on Amazon when they're really well loved, I'll say. So the paints that I have are the Liquitex Basics. These are known as like the student grade, or they're not lower quality really, but they're for the beginner. So what I have here for colors is Cadmium Yellow Medium Hue, Naphthol Crimson, Titanium White, and Mars Black. I have my little palette here, which is actually a plate from the Dollar Tree. Works just fine. And what I have picked out for brushes are, let's see here. I have a smaller filbert, which is, it just means that it's a flat, rounded flat brush. I have a slightly larger filbert. I have two flat brushes. One is 3/4 inch and the other one is 1 inch. And my largest size, this one I actually got from Hobby Lobby. This one is 1.5 inches. It'll make my life a little bit easier. So those are all the supplies. I'm gonna put the paint on my palette and let's get started. So my canvas that I have here is 18 by 18, and it is pre-gessoed, which means that's the base layer that makes it easier for your acrylics or oils or whatever you're using to stick to the canvas. So I'm just going to put some paints out. Alright, I am back. I've got my little 2B pencil, and I'm just going to lightly sketch out an outline of the mountains of where I want them to be and the sky. I want the mountains to be a little bit above halfway on the canvas. It's kind of just going to be a rough little outline because I can change as I go. So that's that. I'm going to make the sun bigger than the photo shows, and I'm going to use a circle template. And I'm using the 1 3/4 size, and that's in inches. I'm just changing my reference photo to be the colors that I want, and I'm gonna get to mixing the sky, and I want it to be a really pretty like golden orange. I'm just taking red and yellow and mixing those together. I'm gonna add some white. More yellow. I want it to be more golden than orange per se. Okay, that is looking pretty good. Okay, I'm going to use my 1-inch flat brush. I'm gonna dip just a little bit of water in. And we're gonna just grab and go. I'm also wrapping the edges here. So in my reference photo that I'm using, the mountains are very blue toned, but they still have like a hint of orange. So what I'm going to do, instead of using black, I'm going to be using the color Indigo, which is like a really deep blue. So if you don't have this color, you can mix from the basic set. You can mix the ultramarine blue with the black and you'll get a similar color. So, but what I'm going to do is use Indigo and put that out on my palette. And I'm going to mix with each layer of mountains. I'm going to mix a little bit more Indigo into my color. I am going to bump down to the 3/4 inch brush and dab a tiny bit of water on my brush and then wipe it off. Then I'm going to start by lining the tops of the mountains first. And don't forget to wrap the edges. This color looks a little bit gross right now, but it won't at the end. It'll all come together. Next I'm going to just grab with my brush a bunch of white and put that next to my color. And put that at the bottom of the back row of mountains and kind of outline where the next mountains meet. And then just blend the two together where they meet. Wrap the sides. Going to grab a bit more blue and mix it in. And with that same brush, go in, just like we did before, and outline the tops of the next row of mountains. After that, again, grabbing a bit of white. And whatever's left in my brush, I'm kind of mixing it into that white. And bringing it down here where the next mountains meet that row. And where they don't blend so nicely, just grab a little bit more of one color and then grab the other color and kind of mix them together on the canvas. That is perfectly fine. This next layer is going to be mostly just indigo and barely any of that orange mixture. But I am just mixing whatever's left on the palette. Taking my 1-inch brush for this row. I just want to make sure those edges are sharp, so if my brush accidentally hits a little bit too high, I just kind of reshape my mountain to fit. So yeah, as Bob Ross would say, there's no such thing as a mistake, only happy accidents. So that, I'm going to grab some white. And quite a bit of indigo for your black and blue mixture, or just blue, whatever colors you're deciding to do for your painting. And I'm gonna lay that mid-tone right below the darkest blue and kind of blend it out. Then I'm gonna grab quite a bit more white. And go to the bottom of that mountain. So for this last layer, I am going to have mostly blue. I don't want any bit of white in this, so I'm going to take pure indigo and then I'm going to add a little bit of black to it to make this front mountain the darkest. And what I did with my brush is I just rinsed it off completely, made sure there's absolutely no pigment left. It did take a minute. I'm going to dry it off on my towel. I'm just going to grab straight indigo and dip my brush into some black and just go for it. I'm just going to add pure indigo at the bottom and blend it up. I'm just going to pick up my canvas and I'm going to wrap that bottom edge. The amount of times I've got white paint on my arm, it's kind of embarrassing. Alright, so after that I am going to work on the sky again. As you can see, we've got the misty mountains kind of going. Looking pretty good, so I'm going to add some gold to the sky. I'm kind of mixing like a peachy color. Just gonna add more yellow and more white. And a touch more red, not too much. We've got a beautiful peachy color to work with. And I'm just going to start laying that over top of where my sun is. Now because I already did my mountains, I have to be careful when blending my sky, but it will be okay. It's a learning experience, and sometimes you finish your painting or think that you finished your painting and find something else that you're like, I don't like that. So you have the freedom to do whatever the heck you want, and fix your painting however you'd like to fix it. I'm actually going to add a bit more red, I think. So what I'm doing is kind of creating a halo around where my sun is going to be. So I've kind of faded that red tone into that golden tone. I'm going to load up my brush some more, grab a little teeny bit of red. So after that, I'm just going to add a little bit more white to my mix, to that golden color that I had going. And I'm going to create a more bright highlight in this area. I'm going to take straight white and just add that because it's going to blend in with the colors that are already on the canvas. I'm going to wipe off whatever's on my brush. And I'm going to use it to blend out those edges. After those edges are blended, I'm going to grab a bit more white and just add that right where my sun is going to be. And I'm actually going to fix this top row of mountains and make it a little less green and a little more blue. I'm actually going to grab a dry brush and blend out these edges. Okay, that is looking pretty good. We're going to let that dry, and while that's drying, we're going to work on that back mountain again. I'm just going to take some white, and actually a lot of white and a little bit of indigo, so I have a pretty light blue color going on. And I kind of want this mountain to be really light, I think. Maybe I'll add a little bit more indigo. And at this point, I'm just blending on my brush. Usually, I do about 50-50. I do blending on my brush versus taking a palette knife and actually mixing a color. If you liked the green, you can keep the green, but I'm going for a different look on this one. I think for outlining these mountains, I'm going to grab that smaller filbert brush, that one, and I'm going to grab that white. It's just going to make it easier for me to get an accurate or a sharper line going here. And as you can see, my mountains change shape quite a bit. because I accidentally go over too much or not enough, and I have to go back in and reshape that mountain to look like it's meant to be like that. Okay, so I really hope this doesn't ruin the painting, but I'm going to take a little bit of that gold and kind of loosely go over that back mountain, just where the sun is hitting the mountains. Or not exactly where the sun is hitting the mountains, but where the sun is kind of like glowing from, if that makes sense. You know, it's kind of making it look like it's a water reflection, but I kind of like it. Okay, so I grabbed some paper towels and I'm cleaning off, or I'm getting the water out of this brush that I had already cleaned, the large one. And squeezing, not too hard because I don't want to ruin my brush, and then I'm just going to go over and attempt to blend out that color. Maybe grab a little bit of water. Kind of want to add more depth to this back mountain, so I'm just taking some indigo and I'm going to add it to the top of this back mountain. Okay, as we get closer to that sunshine, we're gonna like not have it as much. We're gonna fade it out. I'm kind of just gonna bounce my brush on this back mountain to kind of give it a little more detail, where the shadow is hitting the mountain versus where it's not, and then I'm just going to blend it out. You can totally skip this part. You can just keep to adding the depth to the top of the mountain and blending it down to that misty bottom of the mountain, but I'm just trying to add a little bit more detail to mine. And as the last and final step, I'm going to grab more white and I'm going to plop it on top of that golden mixture that I had, because it is time to do the last step, which is that beautiful sunshine. So I'm taking a bit of that orange that we used in the sky and I'm going to have a lot of white in that. So there's just going to be a hint of that orangey tone. I can still vaguely see that circle below my paint. So here is the finished piece. I hope you guys had fun painting along with me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!